So I think we got a pretty good handle on it. It's a high-end team in the Eastern Conference, so they have a certain style into their offensive game and the players that they have. But everything becomes new, and you reinvent yourself every series. And for us to have a chance to beat the President's Trophy winner, we have to be a better team right now than we were when we started the playoffs. We have to have learned a bunch of things. We have to have suffered some defeat, some adversity, and we have to be better than we were when we started. I think we are, and that gets tested every round.
Is it always an evolving thing? I mean, the last 2
Yeah.
years we've seen a lot of special teams work. Is it just got to tweak things and move forward?
Strengths and weaknesses. Regardless of systems, each team has a bunch of things they're good at. Every team in the NHL, certainly in the Final Four here, they have strengths. So we have to do what we can to minimize their strengths, right? And they're going to do what they can to minimize ours. That's all.
Well, what makes their PK so challenging?
I think, for me, the best PKs are aggressive, and they are. They've got long sticks, long men with long sticks and good speed. And if you bobble something, there's not a lot of room for hanging in on pucks you don't control. So there are the passive teams. You can sit in on a puck that's bobbling at the blue line in your feet, bad pass, or if there's a foot race for a puck that you're not 100% sure you're getting, you can stay in on those because the guy's just banging it out. Here they're thinking offense and going for the rush. With everything that happens in the game, there's an opportunity then also to use strengths against them, right? And they'll do the same with us. We're an aggressive PK team. I don't feel there's much difference in philosophy of the penalty killing both these teams. They've both been really good in the playoffs as well.
You've spoken about this a few times, but a lot of teams, especially teams that lose in the final, have that hangover, which you guys did not seem to have, even with the injuries going into the season. We talked about it at the beginning of the year, but how proud of this team were you that they were able to just get back at it and do what they've done?
It's all player leadership. You got that sense after the first 5 days of training camp, almost the same as the year before, but they came back. And you're worried about how hard you're going to have to push your team. It's training camp. It's the first 5 days are hard, and it's hopefully 9 to 10 months away from where you want to get to. And you had a pretty good season. You won a conference. There's that, you're watching for that early. Are they going lighter? Are they saving it? And then, I've already had a conversation with myself driving. They're like, what do you do if they are? You love these guys now. Are you screaming at Barkov across the ice in September because he's not going as hard as you think he went last year? So we took some of the guesswork out. We just kind of measured everything, and they worked harder. I just left them alone. That was probably the thing I liked the most. I wasn't barking this year in training camp. They did it all themselves.
You kind of brought that up after we spoke to you after Game 5 last year. You started talking about training camp's going to. Do you feel like that maybe you kind of set that tone early by getting them guys? We're starting back up in 2 months. Let's be, that kind of thing.
I would think. We've been consistent as a staff. How about that? What we asked of them in training camp, certainly didn't ask less of them. We weren't casual with them before camp. We were all business, but not, the first day wasn't, hey, we lost last year, we got to make up for it. It wasn't that. It was, we know what these next 5 days are going to be like, go as hard as you can. They did, and I think it all springs from that. I think our training camp for the last 2 years, has been the foundation of what we've done.
What have you thought of Tarasenko? How has he fit here? It's not sometimes easy to jump into a new team and a deadline, things like that.
Yeah, because he came in, and then we had some injuries, which turned out to be a really good thing. So our post-trade deadline wasn't great in terms of the numbers. As a matter of fact, we played New York and New Jersey just before it came home. Philly, we lost 2-1, pounded Calgary, went into Dallas, beat them 4-3, but had no business winning that game. Carolina lost, home to Tampa lost, but we put up 52, I think, on 16. So we had some injuries in there, and I had to move him all over. Not even to find out about Vladimir, to plug the holes that needed to be plugged. So then we kind of came out of it and won our last 4 at the end. We got healthy, and he's kind of found a home with Barkov and Reinhart. All are they're students of the game. I fire out hockey nerds, but that's disrespectful to hockey and nerds. These guys talk hockey all the time, right? They're wired to do that. Sam Bennett's as good a hockey conversation as you're going to find, as cerebral as there is. Barkov can play with anybody, right? That maybe to his detriment over his career was kind of, well, just throw him with Barkov. So the three of them talk hockey. You know, they had an interesting morning, right? Going up and down the ice. All they want to do is feel their hands out there because they know the legs and everything is going to come, and they were snapping that thing. So he's found a really good home there. We've had enough injury. You almost need a certain number of injuries because it forces you to explore your team, that Lundell can move up into that hole and be good. So we know that going in. We also know that when Barkov had gone down, Reinhardt can go back with Lusteran and Lundell and be a real good line. So we have that. Vlad kind of came in. He scored 2 goals his second game, and then I don't think he played with the same line for the next month. It's been good for us.
Do you expect more production from him, or you think
No.
there's more there? You just
No, I don't. Truly, production is highly overvalued right now. I mean, that sounded stupid. Yeah, I'd like everybody to score 10 goals,
Yeah, right.
but Matthew Tkachuk didn't score a lot in the Boston series. But we're not winning that thing without him, right? Like, yeah, the individual scoring. Tarasenko's power play goal was really important for us, right? That was an unbelievable shot. That's all we need. Won a series.
With the new guy on that theme, I know we talked a lot about how special the group was last year going into this year, but you also added several new players this year. We know throughout the year that they fit in well, but now that the playoffs are here and the group kind of gets a little bit tighter, how do you feel that fit has continued?
Yeah, it's the same. The words that came into my head are proof. Whatever you would bake bread with, right? You get the same proof for year over year over year. The core of our team is the same proof, so you can add things to it. Last year, we had to survive hard things during the regular season, so there was a connection made before the playoffs even started. Right? Even in that stretch, I think we lost 3 or 4 in a row before we rebounded to make the playoffs. So by the time we get to the playoffs last year, there's a really tight group. They got their own personality. They're a lot of fun. We kind of encouraged that personality to grow. This year was a more serious group, and it took me a long time to figure that out. It's not that they're not having as much fun. They're just a more serious group of guys. And we also, fairly early in the year, got to a point that we were a pretty good team. Like we weren't chasing the playoffs really after the Christmas especially. So because there's not that major adversity, it's slightly more difficult to connect on that deep level, I think. Right? The adversity is really what drives you. And playoffs is all adversity. So now I think we're exactly maybe where we were last year. But maybe a little healthier would be the only difference, probably a little deeper.
And
Thanks,
just
everyone.
the day off for Chucky?
Yeah, he's going to roll into an every second day rotation now. He's fine.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your
Okay, guys, thank you.